Hello, my name is Jorge Perez, Vice President of Youth Development, Family Enrichment, and Social Responsibility for the YMCA of the USA, and I am here to introduce the Youth Development Roadmap that I'm hopeful will be a tool that you can use as you lead your areas of work in the movement to help ensure that young people are developed in spirit, mind, and body, or as we're going to talk about, socially, emotionally, cognitive, and physical development. Let me start by sharing with you the definition that we're using here at YUSA for youth development. And I've highlighted that first part of the definition, and then I'll talk a little bit about the second part. So, youth development is that social, emotional, cognitive, and physical process that all youth uniquely experience from birth to career. Now, you should know that every word on this definition was debated, researched, and so I've already talked about those three areas that young people develop in youth, that social, emotional, cognitive, and physical. But that word unique really describes or emphasizes the fact that every young person goes through this experience in a unique and different way. So, boys' youth development process is different than girls. African Americans different than Hispanics. Middle class children different than kids who come from low income communities, and on and on. And even in the same neighborhood, from home to home, family to family, their experiences are unique. And that experience does not end until you get to career. So it starts at birth and goes all the way to career. Now we know that if young people have positive youth development in those three areas, social, emotional, cognitive, and physical development, that their needs to be loved, spiritually grounded, educated, competent, and healthy will all be met. That young people will do what young people do, and that is grow up to be healthy in spirit, mind, and body. So, this is the roadmap, and as mentioned already, it's a three-prong road that young people go through. It starts at birth and it goes all the way to career. Those of us that have children that are grown know that that to be the case, sometimes even past career. That journey that kids take are broken up into these well identifiable um, segments. We know these segments. Many of us have been trained for these segments, and so here they are in existence. We know that the transitions from segments to segments are critical. In fact, there are nonprofits that live to help young people through those transition points. These dots represent milestones that young people have to meet as they progress along their social emotional journey. We actually have milestones identified, and you can find those on um, the link on this page that allows you to um, pull those down off of or download those off of the intranet. But there are critical milestones, things like developing a strong relationship with a caregiver, to having positive peers, and or having a mentor, and so forth and so on. These milestones represent the cognitive development of young people, and it's everything from um, learning or hearing music and being sung to, and somebody reading books to you, to being in an environment that promotes learning, shapes and colors and numbers and the alphabet on the walls. It also means that in the seventh and eighth grade, you have to have a certain algebra class if you intend to go to college. That you have a college or post-secondary plan by the time you're entering into your high school years. In those later grades, you're mastering particular subjects and making plans to make a transition into the post-secondary years, which total out to be about 4 years, regardless of whether you're going to college or going to trade school. These final milestones are represent the physical development of young people, and again, these are everything from learning hand-eye coordination to developing habits, good eating habits, habits of healthy activity, and in the grades 9 through 12th is as much about saying no to things, no to drugs, no to risk-taking behaviors. In the right as you're entering career years, those are establishing good work-life balance as you enter those. And again, these are outlined in a handout that you can download here on this. So what does all this mean? Well, this means that if you're responsible for Child Watch, that you ought to be looking at these segments and making sure that at the very least the staff is working to develop young people in each of these areas, and that these milestones are at least getting some level of attention. They're not a comprehensive list. You may have a longer list, but you ought to make sure that these in particular are being addressed, and specifically that staff are not just in some corner letting kids just kind of play on their own, but that there's some intentional efforts to make sure that the kids that need it are being read to, being sung to. MCAs, we just partner with families to give them, to make sure that their child develops well. But sometimes if these milestones are not being met, YMCA steps in and makes sure that these critical needs are being met. The idea here is that you're being intentional about how we serve young people, and that you're looking at developing your staff to ensure that young people are developing in each of those areas. Fact of the matter is that we know that if one of these areas is in jeopardy, there could be catastrophic failure in the others. If you have a young person that's not progressing academically, then there may be some social emotional repercussions and actually some physical health that gets jeopardized. Or if somebody is really good at school but is not developing healthy relationships and is extremely overweight, then you jeopardize the cognitive journey for that child. The opposite is also true, that you can use a strength in any one of these areas to anchor the other weaker areas. So if somebody's really good at math, that you could start there by making sure that they've developed good relationships with other people that are very good at math. And maybe as a group, there could be some good development around their physical development, physical habits. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call, and we'll be more than happy to give you additional information. But our idea is that you look for ways to integrate this into your programs. Thanks. Bye.